Critical thinking is a valuable skill that can help individuals make better decisions, solve problems more effectively, and evaluate information more accurately. Here are some tips for developing critical thinking skills. Ask questions. One of the most important things you can do to develop critical thinking skills is to ask questions. Be curious and ask why, how, and what if questions. When you encounter new information or ideas, don't just accept them at face value. Instead, ask questions to understand them better and evaluate their credibility. Evaluate information sources. Not all information sources are created equal. Some are more reliable than others. To develop critical thinking skills, learn how to evaluate the credibility of information sources. Consider the author's expertise, the publication date, and the potential biases of the source. Challenge assumptions. Many people make assumptions without even realizing it. To develop critical thinking skills, challenge your assumptions. Ask yourself why you believe what you do and whether there is evidence to support your beliefs. Consider different perspectives. To be an effective critical thinker, you must be willing to consider different perspectives. Be open-minded and seek out different viewpoints. Consider the pros and cons of each perspective and evaluate the evidence supporting each one. Analyze arguments. Critical thinking involves evaluating arguments. Learn how to identify the premises and conclusions of an argument and evaluate the evidence used to support each one. Look for logical fallacies and inconsistencies in the argument. Practice problem solving. To develop critical thinking skills, practice problem solving. Look for opportunities to solve problems in your personal and professional life. Break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable parts and work through each one systematically. Reflect on your thinking. Finally, to develop critical thinking skills, you must reflect on your own thinking. After you have made a decision or solved a problem, take some time to reflect on the process. Consider what you did well and what you could have done differently. This self-reflection will help you improve your critical thinking skills over time. Understanding your own values and boundaries is an essential aspect of protecting yourself from manipulation. Your values are your guiding principles, the beliefs and ideals that matter most to you. Your boundaries are the limits you set on what you are willing to accept or tolerate in relationships and situations. To develop a deeper understanding of your values and boundaries, you can start by asking yourself questions such as: what matters most to me in life? What do I stand for? What are my non-negotiables in relationships, work, and other areas of my life? What are my limits when it comes to how I want to be treated? It's also important to pay attention to your gut instincts and feelings. If something doesn't feel right, it's worth exploring why and whether it conflicts with your values and boundaries. Once you have a clear sense of your values and boundaries, you can use them as a foundation for making decisions and setting boundaries in your relationships and interactions. You can also communicate them clearly and assertively to others, which can help deter manipulation attempts. It's important to note that your values and boundaries may change over time as you grow and evolve. Regularly reflecting on them and reevaluating what matters most to you can help you stay aligned with your true self and protect yourself from manipulation. Building self-confidence can be an important way to protect oneself from manipulation, as individuals who are confident in their own abilities and self-worth are less likely to be swayed by the opinions or influence of others. Here are some tips for building self-confidence. Practice self-care. Taking care of your physical and mental health can help you feel better about yourself, which can in turn boost your confidence. Set achievable goals. Setting and achieving goals, even small ones, can help build a sense of accomplishment and confidence. Embrace your strengths. Recognize and embrace your strengths, talents, and accomplishments. Focus on what you do well, and don't be afraid to take pride in your achievements. Accept your weaknesses. Nobody is perfect, and it's important to accept and acknowledge your weaknesses. Recognize areas where you could improve, but don't let them define you or undermine your confidence. Practice positive self-talk. Be mindful of your internal dialogue and make an effort to replace negative self-talk with positive affirmations. Surround yourself with positivity, seek out supportive friends and family, and try to avoid negative influences. Take risks. Stepping out of your comfort zone and taking on new challenges can be scary, but it can also be incredibly empowering and confidence-building. Remember, building self-confidence is a process, and it takes time and effort. Don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Keep working at it, and celebrate your successes along the way. Practicing assertiveness is an important skill in protecting oneself from manipulation. It involves communicating clearly and confidently, setting boundaries, and standing up for oneself in a respectful way. Here are some tips for practicing assertiveness. Start small. If you're not used to being assertive, it can be helpful to start with smaller situations, such as speaking up in a group setting or saying no to a small request. Use I statements. When expressing your feelings or opinions, use I statements rather than you statements. For example, instead of saying you're wrong, say I disagree. Be clear and direct. State your needs and expectations clearly and directly. Avoid beating around the bush or being vague. Stick to your boundaries. Once you have set a boundary, be consistent in enforcing it. Don't let others push you into doing something you're not comfortable with. Practice active listening. When communicating with others, make sure to listen actively and try to understand their perspective as well. This can help prevent misunderstandings and conflicts. Don't apologize for your feelings. Your feelings are valid and you don't need to apologize for them. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, but I feel this way, say, I feel this way and I want to express it. Practice self-care. Taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally can help build your confidence and make it easier to be assertive. Remember that being assertive is not the same as being aggressive. It's about standing up for yourself and your boundaries in a respectful and confident way. By practicing assertiveness, you can protect yourself from manipulation and build healthier relationships. Learning to say no is an important skill that can help protect you from manipulation and undue influence. Saying no can be difficult, especially if you are used to putting the needs of others before your own, but it is an essential part of setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. Here are some tips for learning to say no. Be clear and concise. When you say no, be clear and concise in your communication. Don't make excuses or apologize excessively. Simply state your decision and stick to it. Use I statements. Use I statements to explain your decision. For example, instead of saying, I can't do that because you're being unreasonable, say, I can't do that because it doesn't align with my values. Practice saying no in low-risk situations, such as turning down a request from a telemarketer or declining an invitation to an event that you don't want to attend. This will help you build confidence and make it easier to say no in more challenging situations. Be respectful. While it's important to be firm, it's also important to be respectful. You can say no without being rude or dismissive of the other person's needs or feelings. Remember your priorities. Keep in mind your own priorities and goals. Saying yes to everything can lead to burnout and resentment. By saying no when necessary, you can free up time and energy to focus on the things that are most important to you. The psychology of social media refers to the ways in which social media platforms and the way we use them can affect our behavior, emotions, and mental health. Social media has become an integral part of our daily lives, with billions of people using various platforms to connect, share information, and interact with others. However, the constant stream of information, updates, and notifications can also lead to feelings of anxiety, stress, and even addiction. One key aspect of the psychology of social media is the impact it has on our social relationships. Social media platforms allow us to connect with others more easily than ever before, but this can also lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness. For example, scrolling through other people's posts and updates can give us a distorted view of their lives, which can make us feel inadequate or left out. Another important factor is the role of social comparison. Social media platforms often encourage us to compare ourselves to others, which can lead to feelings of envy, jealousy, or low self-esteem. This can be exacerbated by the curated nature of social media, as people often present an idealized version of their lives online. The constant notifications and alerts on social media can also have a negative impact on our mental health. Research has shown that excessive use of social media can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and even sleep problems. Social media can also be addictive, with the dopamine hit we get from likes, comments, and shares encouraging us to keep scrolling and engaging with the platform.